Welcome to Meet the Candidates. Welcome back on in. We have been doing several of these interviews one-on-one with candidates. My name is Greg Anderson. I'm happy that you're here. The next 30 minutes is really an opportunity for you, the voter, to get a better sense of one of the candidates that is running for office, particularly in this case for school committee. Each school committee candidate, in fact, I would say everybody that is running for office, has been extended an invitation to come in and chat with me. I don't know why that's so great, but hopefully we can extract some good information for you. And with Sandwich Community Television, we've really put together a nice roster of laid-back, comfortable conversations with people that are running for office. Now, on April 5th of this year, of course, Sandwich Community Television and the Sandwich Enterprise is going to bring people back together, the candidates, for a Sandwich Candidates Forum. We hope to see you there. That will be at Town Hall up on the second floor. That will be more of a debate. This is more of a conversation between me, a voter, and our candidates. So I'd like to introduce Nancy Crossman. Welcome to the table, if you will. I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and we've got plenty of things I'm very eager to talk to you about. Let's start with, why are you running? You've done this before. Unfortunately, you lost the last round, but tell me, what brings you to this now?
Well, I missed it a lot. In the past year, I watched all the meetings. I followed the budget. I actually came and spoke at the budget hearing because I had actually some compliments for the new superintendent, some suggestions, and some things I like to have clarified. So I feel like I have a lot of experience, institutional knowledge that I would like to offer to the school committee and the voters, and work with the superintendent that I had the pleasure of voting into accepting her and actually offering. I was the one that offered her the job.
There's a personal connection.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Let me ask you this. Education is clearly a very competitive business. We have VOTEC, we have charter schools, we have private schools. How do you feel these sandwich schools stack up from a competitive perspective in that arena?
I would like to see it better, but I think we have a really good school system. I'm especially excited now that we have Dr. Gould at the helm. She's bringing so much positive energy. She's already looked at things that can be made better. I think we need to do a better job of sharing with everyone in our community who is looking to see where they're going to send their kids. Share with them what we have to offer, and we have a lot to offer, even more so in the past few years. So it's easy to say we need to do a better job. How do we do that? And I think with a very energetic superintendent and working with the school committee, we can all be advocates.
What are we lacking, do you feel?
I think some of what we were lacking, I just said the positive energy. I think sometimes the cool place is not in your hometown, whatever it is. I would rather say, what do we have that's unique about Sandwich, and really emphasize that, because I think we have the high-level classes, we have theater, we have sports. I mean, we have a lot of really good things to offer. So lacking would be just the message to get out to everyone.
Jim Pierce, who is vacating his seat, whose seat you are seeking to gain, so he can run for selectman, says that he basically feels that the school committee doesn't have as much influence in the resources that can come to the school as much as the selectman role does. It's basically, he's got a seat at that table. But it brings to question, number one, do you agree with that notion? And number two, how are the resources, how is that process in your mind as it relates to resources for the school district?
Okay, well, the selectmen have they have the meeting with the school committee and the finance committee, and there's an agreement at that point. I think the school committee has a lot of say in, what are the needs. I think the school district, and the school district needs to make sure that the other boards and the voters trust that we are doing the best that we can with their tax dollars. So I don't think we're powerless at all. I think we can certainly advocate if there is a reason why we need more money, then we need to do that. I see, like, even this year, there are some capital improvement dollars allocated for the schools that are over and above the budget, and it's because we got hit with an earlier than anticipated date for needing technology in the schools, and the town recognized that, and so that's part of the capital improvement part of the articles at town meeting. So I don't think we're powerless at all. I think we just to make sure that we are the advocates that we're elected to be.
Right. And there's a lot of detail within the budget that the school committee is responsible for the allocations, if you will, versus the selectmen, which kind of have the big lump.
Right.
They say, here's your lump, and then...
Yes.
Okay.
The school district can move money in between, and in the past, the school committee has given parameters that over a certain amount, it needs to come back to the school committee and get a vote to say, yeah, it's okay to move that, and just give the reason. So the school committee is aware of where the money's being done, and it's the school committee's responsibility to know everything about that budget, because it's ours to defend. Once we accept it, it was ours to defend.
Right. In May of last year, you lost in your run for re-election while you were chair.
Yep.
I know. Social media, both newspapers were citing your relationship with then Superintendent Dr. Canfield as playing a part in that. What are your takeaways from that whole experience? Lessons learned?
Well, I couldn't help what he did. It totally caught me off guard.
You're talking about his public, public stance, and kind of naming you as...
Right. However, when I was chair, I wanted to make sure that policies were followed, that the contracts were followed, information was shared, the school committee had the information we needed to make informed decisions, and I wouldn't change that. I tried very hard to have a professional relationship, and if it didn't work out for him, then it was totally his decision. He called me the morning that he was going to do the press release, and I guess on a positive note, look what we have now. We went through the process of the superintendent search, and we did it internally, which saved the district money, and we found a candidate who on paper and in an interview sounded like an unbelievable fit. And from what I've seen, then I agree that she has lived up to my expectations anyhow. So maybe things work out.
Everything happens for a reason?
Maybe so.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the budget.
Okay.
In the January 4 school committee meeting, and I'm just citing that one in particular, Dr. Gould had identified the need for additional social workers at the high school in Forestdale. She referenced discussions as it relates to per pupil expenditures for technology and supplies and materials, and there are some unfunded mandates. You have been privy to, by being witness and being, you mentioned that you spoke, from a district funding perspective, what are your observations of the budget? What are we looking at in terms of the budget that was voted in? How are we standing with that?
Well, it's interesting that you said the social worker part, because all 6 of my years as a school committee member, I attended the Massachusetts, it's a state convention of school committees that's held in Hyannis. And I often went to forums on social worker and the social emotional part of the school that has just exponentially grown the responsibilities for the whole child. So I totally agree with that, and I complimented her on that. I know she wanted to add more than just the half one, but there was a half at each school, so it was one position.
One FTE.
Right. So I agreed with that. I complimented her because I think that was a place that that's where we need to be this year. I also complimented her on adding 2 teachers at STEM because I had shared in the past couple of years my concern about where the students didn't have core subjects every day. And the MCAS scores weren't where we wanted them to be. And just to have 7th and 8th graders not having core subjects was just a great concern to me. And Dr. Gould has already addressed that, so it leads me to believe she's looking at the right things. So I don't have totally all the backup, but I did go through the revolving accounts and the grants and the budget itself. I think it's a good budget. One of the school committee members attended all the meetings and so had some sort of oversight, and I think that's a good thing. So I know that the salaries are such a huge part of it that there's not a lot left to play around with. So I think it's a good budget.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the attention in fine arts. A new department head is going to lead that department. An additional health teacher will be added to focus on 7 and 9. Sandwich Community Television has a major play in bringing that creative side and the broadcasting piece. There are some great enhancements. Are there more that you feel, more enhancements that you would like to see? Not necessarily right now, but in the future?
In the future? I know a few years ago there were some enhancements in music, and I think maybe some of those have dropped. It kind of, there's an ebb and flow with what the needs are or the wants of the students, what they're going to sign up for, because if they don't sign up for it, then you can't run the classes. But I think we have a lot of students taking AP classes, so we need something for just for the diversity of the classes, and that's why I think the media classes are wonderful. The theater, I mean, you just get such a broad range of kids that are involved in all of these. I think probably the only thing that I don't see that we used to have is business. Economy or accounting or maybe something different than the typical math track. So that probably would be something, I mean, that would be yeah, that would be, yeah.
How long have you lived in Sandwich?
27 years almost.
27 years.
Almost, yeah.
And the only reason I ask is the perspective of having lived in town for a long time and seen the changes in the school district, and we have had other superintendents come and go, and the school district looks good to you right now. I mean, there's always room for opportunity.
There's always room for growth and opportunity, but I think it's an exciting time for Sandwich. I think the energy is positive, and I think a lot of people are excited about where we're going, what we can offer in the future.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Good. Let me actually turn that smile upside down, unfortunately, because I want to talk about 2 issues that are, as a parent, are very significant: substance abuse and bullying. Let's take one at a time, if you don't mind. What do you see as the short-term and perhaps long-term approaches that are necessary from the school committee perspective, from your voice, that can address or at least speak to where we are with substance abuse, how we are mitigating it, et cetera, et cetera? What are your thoughts there?
Okay. The town actually had a Sandwich Substance Prevention group, and I was a member of that, and it was we were sworn in, we were nominated by the selectmen, and it was quite an active group. We brought in different speakers, and we had meetings about what we can do. We had the first risky behavior survey, which was upsetting to a lot of parents. And then when the second one came around and we could compare the data, that's what, we went for a grant, and that's what they wanted to see, was the comparison of the data. We didn't get the grant we had hoped for because they were going more for regional groups. But there have been groups that have been looking at this for a few years now, and now we've had a few of the risky behavior surveys. We have data to look at. That's kind of where the additional social worker comes in too. So I don't think anybody has their head in the sand, honestly. It's a community issue, not just a sandwich school issue. So there's a lot of outreach to like police departments and other community leaders to help with this. So we brought Chris Herron in, and he went around, and you could have heard a pin drop at the assembly that I was at. And so that you need people like that to come in that can talk to the kids at their level, and hopefully something will stick.
How do you measure its success? How does a school district look back on the last year, 2 or 3 years, and say, you know what, we did a good job. What is that metrics?
I think the risky behavior surveys, if you see the data going down, provided it's accurate, that they answer them truthfully.
Right.
But also, I think that can come from the social workers. They're intervening. They're talking to the kids. They're getting in as early as they can, to try to. And honestly, how do you measure when something doesn't happen? You only measure when it happens.
Right.
So I think the social workers would probably have the best idea of how we're doing, and the ones that I know, I would trust them to say not working or what is working.
Yeah. Let's take the same level of questioning and let's talk about bullying. Do we do enough?
I don't think you ever do enough, sadly.
Yeah.
The school committee is responsible for some policies that have to do with substance abuse and bullying, and we did have those. I was part of a policy committee that went through every policy that we had, and in my first couple of years, and that was, the bullying policy was initiated during that time. So there are rules, and everybody knows what the rules are, but it's going to happen. It's what, unfortunately, what happens to kids, and
Right.
especially when no one's looking.
Right.
I think, again, that's why we really need the social workers to come in, but the kids need to know the rules. We also have some programs where we have mentors for the kids coming in, especially at the high school. They go down into the STEM group, the 7th and 8th graders. They're going to help the kids have the Blue Night Pride and try to get them into the school, make the school culture a good one, a positive one. My kids went through the K-12. They're 21 and 23 now, and I don't think I ever heard anybody being slammed against a locker. That's
Right.
not how it's done. It's a lot more with social media. And
I was just going to say, it's everything. It's everything on the phones.
It is, and that's hard. Now you have a whole level that was it done at school? Was it done? And we have a resource officer that's assigned to the schools, and she does a great job of knowing the kids and trying to get this kind of thing addressed before it happens. But there are consequences.
Yeah.
The kids need to know there are consequences and that they're going to be enforced.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Gould.
Okay.
My question to you was going to be, if you could give her a letter grade on how she's been doing, what would it be? And I think I know the answer, but what would you give her?
Well, I would certainly give her an A for effort, an
Yeah.
A plus maybe. I would give her an A plus in communication. That was something that our committee, my last year, we were very strong in wanting good communication skills.
Was there not good communication?
I think
In
it could have
previous
been improved. It just needed to be improved.
Okay.
One of the things that Dr. Gould does, good about it, is she participates in social media, and that's where we are these days.
Yeah.
For a couple of meetings a few years ago, I tried to get social media either by the administration or by the school committee, and people just weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
So now, I think parents feel like they're being talked to and given information. I think that's a really good thing. If you don't know and you start looking at the social media feeds, then incorrect information get out there. And if it's on the internet, it must be true, right?
Right, exactly.
So I would give her, A's on those. I think, maybe a B on just because she doesn't know the history yet and learning, getting up to snuff. And I think that's a very good grade.
Yeah.
Because she's trying really hard to learn. I've seen her in action saying, I don't know the history, I'll look it up. So she just doesn't try to make a decision on the spot without doing her research. And that, I like that because she's prepared. And that's something that I like, because I come prepared to
Yeah.
every meeting.
Yeah.
It's very important, I think, to, no matter what kind of committee you're on, to come prepared. And I think Dr. Gould comes prepared when whether it's to a meeting or whether it's a post on social media. So that's a good thing.
How much did she pay you to be saying that?
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm completely
And
kidding.
I'm just observing.
Yeah. If you were a parent, high school or grade school parent, STEM Academy, and you were sitting there thinking, okay, I want to make my son's school the best that it can be. Why does a vote for you speak to me as that parent?
Okay, because I have the 6 years of experience. I have the institutional knowledge. I can hit the ground running. I want the parents to trust that we're making the right decisions. So for those reasons, I also have a little teacher in me, I guess. My degree was in math, and I did student teaching in 8th grade math. I ended up being an engineer and an engineering manager for the phone company for 31 years.
Oh, no kidding.
But then I trained the new engineers, so there's the teacher in me there.
Yeah.
And then the year that I was chair, I had 4 brand new school committee members.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed training them, giving them information, making sure they had every opportunity to have leadership roles. So I think that just speaks to me as a person. I have a lot of experience. I think, in the trust for me is a big factor. I do, like I said, I come prepared. I also, I'm a big fan of communication. I'm accessible because I am retired. I'm accessible during the day. But parents could contact me, but see, by being available during the day, I can be on committees that are during the day, when a lot of times if they involve staff or teachers, they have to be during the day when the people are there working. Right. So I can't help it. I missed it a lot last year, but sitting back and observing, I think everyone in the seat has done a good job. There's a lot of good communication with the new superintendent, and it seems to be going in a positive way. So I would hope that they would trust me, that I would be the best fit for that.
Yeah. You seem excited about this.
Yes.
And sometimes, to talk to the point of everything happens for a reason, sometimes that stepping away gives a different perspective. Just in complete honesty, I find you to be very impressive when you're talking about the process and the expected outcomes. And there's a multidisciplinary mindset that I'm interpreting from what you're saying, which for someone who was not, you're not a career politician. You
No,
have not,
I kind of,
yeah, I mean, it's not it's not your thing, but, and for you to be coming back after kind of a bruising loss, that was, I mean, I was reading about it, and I didn't
I lived it.
really- I know.
well, after that, I had people saying, well, you should sign up for apply for the Finance Committee, and that wasn't out of the realm, but a few people said, well, you should run for selectman, and I just said, no, that didn't interest me. My passion has always been schools,
Yeah.
and I think that's what drew me back when this position became open again.
Yeah.
Then I'm passionate about our schools, I'm committed, and I want to see us succeed.
It would be ironic, though, if you won Jim's seat. Have you two spoken about?
No.
No?
No.
No. That's interesting. Well, I am pleased that you're here. It's
Thank you.
nice to see you engaged, whether somebody is taking the time and the money and the effort to run for office or someone who is just engaged along the way. It's nice to be in a community where people are bellying up to the table saying, this
care.
matters,
We
and
care.
they care.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they care.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for-
you, and thank you for Sandwich Television for allowing us and the taxpayers to see these.
Are you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, then you can be posting this
I
and,
will.
and share it with
I'll share it.
people.
Yep, I will.
Nancy, thank you so much. I also want to thank Paula Johnson, who is the executive producer of this program and really works so hard to pull together all of the candidates and help me bring this to all of you. We like to engage in thoughtful discussion, thoughtful dialogue, and really bring the voter to the polls with as much of an understanding of who they are voting for as possible. I hope I do see you at the Candidates Forum. That is on April 5th at Town Hall in the evening. That will be your opportunity to raise questions, talk to the candidates, watch them exchange with each other. It is sponsored by the Sandwich Enterprise and Sandwich Community Television. I'm Greg Anderson. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.